Folks, what's going on? I've got a good one here. I don't know where these alliances came from. I guess that Bretonia and the Empire decided that they were going to be at war, and each one was looking for any ally they could find, and so they both went against their better judgment and any morals that they may have had, and they got set up with some factions that they would normally hate. So we have an Empire greenskin. So this is a cooperation between Volkmar and Skarsnik, which on its face ought to be an offense to Volkmar, but check it out over here. We've got a goblin army that is going to be night-shrouded along with an Empire army, so Volkmar going full goblin over here. Right in the middle, all we've got is a Sunmaker, some Spearmen, and some Night Goblin Squig Hoppers, and then way back here in the back, Skarsnik has deployed with a whole bunch of Night Goblins, including the Warlord's boys, and then Night Goblin Fanatics and Night Goblin Archers. So he's brought all the Night Goblins, even though it's daytime. But don't worry about it, folks. So over here, you can see that Repanse de Leonis has set up with Luthor Harkon. Apparently, she's got a thing for crazy men, and decided that that would be a good idea. We've got some Knights Errant, and here is Repanse here, leading with the Companions of Kinel, which is an anti-large, armor-piercing questing knight. Well, all questing knights are armor-piercing, but they have the addition of the anti-large. And then over here we've got the Wardens of Montfort, which is a mounted yeoman archer with poison arrows, and then the Knights of the Lionhearted, which is a special magic damage Knights of the Realm that also does, or they always do anti-large. And then the zombie pirate deckhand mobs up front. Up in the air we've got Henry Le Massif and Royal Hippogriff Knights, and then we've got some zombie gunnery mob. And then in the back, there actually is some pretty potent infantry here. We got some depth guard on both flanks, and some polearm deckhand mobs. Supporting them are some deck gunners, and then we've got a rotting Leviathan, and of course the crazy man himself, Luthor Harkon, back here already struggling with his inner demons. The hunt for lizard treasure never ends with him. Now the Sunmaker is going to open things up by absolutely wrecking this carronade, and if it's allowed to live, it will wreck a great many things, as the Sunmaker is probably one of the most deadly artillery units in the game, especially when it just gets the right targets for it. I mean, I don't think this carronade is an ideal target for it, but it's a target that it'll certainly do a lot of damage to and prevent it from doing damage to its own team. Against infantry blobs, the Sunmaker has no equal. So it is a pretty impressive unit. Over here, Henry Le Massif and his Royal Hippogriff Knights are going to slam into some Empire Knights, and they're going to shred them. There is no prayer for protecting the Sunmaker, at least in my opinion, based on what they're being attacked by here. Although these are only Knights Errant, the Hippogriff Knights and Henry Le Massif are going to be way more than a match for what they're coming up against. But the more interesting thing is that the Night Shrouded army has now spread out, is coming in for a flank attack, completely bypassing all the leadership and the cavalry, and at this point they still don't have eyes on the goblin army that's approaching from behind, and there's only a few units to protect back here. So the Vampire Coast is about to find themselves with very little support and hit hard on both fronts, and they're going to be attacked by the Arachnarok Queen and Volkmar here, the unholy duo. Volkmar, though, thinks the Arachnarok Queen's beautiful, and after a few dates he finds her her very spiky exoskeleton quite attractive. And you never know, folks. You know, like Volkmar learned here, that you just got to keep an open mind. He's teaching us all. Over here we got the Rotting Leviathan crashing through some flagellants. This is going to be a brutal unit to try and stop. It's a very powerful unit, and honestly, other than these, well, those are Free Company militias. I thought they were handguns. Yeah, they're going to have a hard time stopping that Rotting Leviathan. It's going to take a lot of concerted effort, because there's not a lot of AP or anti-large up here, except for the Arachnarok Queen, and she has become a target of affection for the deck droppers. That's not a good thing for her, and Volkmar is getting jealous about all the attention she's getting from them. Speaking of Volkmar, though, he is absolutely owning, as he typically does when you get him in a fight. He's already got over 100 kills. And you can see over here that Henry Le Massif and Repanse and all of the Knights are still focused on just the Sunmaker. Now, granted, they probably don't want to leave that unit alone, but by attacking it, they've opened themselves up to a big beating. The Goblins have arrived in the back, and all the Goblin Archers are shredding these Depth Guard, and the other Depth Guard is going to get it too. Those units don't have shields, and trading that poorly against the Night Goblins will not be a good thing for those units. They're too expensive. Now, they can beat up a ton of Night Goblins on their own, but when they're getting shredded by archers, not so much. The Ragnarok Queen is sent packing. It's going to be a bit of a problem. We do have the Bright Wizard here dropping a Burning Head across some of the vampire units back here, doing some decent damage. That Bright Wizard's got 79 kills. Over here you can see a Warrior Priest supporting some Flagellants and Swordsmen, helping to keep them in the fight longer than usual, and you can see that the Vampire Coast took an absolute shellacking. But now the real hard-hitting part of that army, at least the melee hitting part of it, the Vampire Coast were the hard-hitting range, but that's why they couldn't really hold out with anything except for the Rotting Leviathan, which, as I predicted, is still alive and with very little damage. See over here the Depth Guard being finished off by the archers. And here comes Henry le Massif, his Royal Hippogriff Knights, and the Knights Errant, all charging in. There are some extra units for the Empire and Greenskin team here that'll be brought to bear in a moment. But yeah, this is a big blob coming in here, and blobbing up with Volkmar around or a Warrior Priest is definitely not what you want to do. And with a Bright Wizard as well, they're really lucky they didn't take like a Piercing Bolts or something right here. Would have been absolutely devastating, though Piercing Bolts is not available, only Burning Head. So, yeah, I mean, it's something like that you got to be very, very careful of. Even a quick blob like that is vulnerable to destruction. So there goes the Depth Guard. We're going to see Henry le Massif come back here to try and save Luthor Harkon, whose craziness has got him into a little more than he can handle over here in this fight. Volkmar holding out pretty decent. It's not ideal for him to be fighting the massive Henry here. But he's got some support, so he'll be alright. He's a tough unit. He can take a few shots. You're going to see the Companions of Kinel crash into this fight. Not actually a great charge, or against targets that are going to be of much consequence. I don't think they really want to get tied up here against all these poison Night Goblins. I don't think that's going to be a good place for them to be. And slowly but surely, the Rotting Leviathan is being kind of leveled. I mean, it's getting a ton of kills, but it's being kept busy on a lot of units that are probably not terribly important at the moment either. See this right here, the Warrior Priest trying to fight Repanse. She does have a bonus versus infantry, I believe, so he'll want to watch out. Be a dangerous fight for him. Volkmar, meanwhile, has done a great job. Like I said, the Companion of Kinel, it almost looks like they're trying to get to another target. Like maybe they're trying to attack Volkmar here, because they're not doing a lot of damage, and they're just kind of being chewed up slowly by the goblins. And Volkmar has found his way over to Luthor Harkon and started to give him a pretty bad beating. Meanwhile, the archers are being attacked by the cavalry. This is a good move, get those cavalry free. But rather than splitting up and focusing on different archer units, the cavalry has gone after one, which will allow the other archer units to maintain fire on them while they attack the one. And so this is definitely another way to take extra damage that you don't want to take. See here now they've been split by two different units and will be shot. And then this archer unit can sit back and potentially fire this way too. So you definitely want to split your cavalry up and hit all those units at once, unless you have a reason, and a good reason, to stay together. The Companion of Kinel get finished off in here. The Royal Hippogriff Knights starting to take a lot of damage. Volkmar also taking quite a bit of damage, but his healing continues. You can see over here the Rotting Leviathan just getting buried by trashy Empire infantry. It's gotten 100 kills, but it's also slowly taking damage. The deck droppers have been targeting different units throughout this. I do think they probably put a little bit of fire on Volkmar, but Volkmar has fairly significant resistance to missile units as well. He's not a unit that is easily killed. He has a lot of resistance, especially with his abilities active. That's probably one of the reasons why people prefer to use him quite a lot, because he's tanky in quite a few situations. Even some of the situations where he's not the ideal choice, he can still be fairly tanky. There goes the Rotting Leviathan. It's had too much. It's going to go down. The deck droppers are nearly out of ammo, and they're going to be thrown into melee here in a desperate bid to save Luthor from Volkmar. But Luthor is now crumbling, and the crazy gunman is going to be down at any moment. At least he'll be out of his misery, no longer driven insane by his mind. Or I don't know, will he be at peace, or will he still be crazy in the next life? Volkmar's plowing him around, not able to land a hit. CA, fix these charges. There he goes. So Luthor is out, and that is going to really cripple the leadership of what's left of Repanse's army, because now they're just drowning at goblins. I mean, there are just so many goblins. Skarsnik is also in good health with Gobla, and he's a really tough AP anti-large poison. inflicting, so I mean he's going to be very difficult to take down at this state of the game, especially by a flyer. And you're seeing that here. He's made Henry Le Massif rampage with the fungi, and it is a well-timed rampage, and Skarsnik gets some good schemes in there. This was a fun 2v2 here from Uncensored Angel and Moss Shadow, J-Mo, Seaspring. Appreciate all them playing it. This one was a lot of fun to watch. Let's look at the value that some of these units got, just out of curiosity. We'll start with Uncensored Angel and J-Mo here, so that's going to be our Empire and Vampire cosplayer. Volkmar dealing out 2,252 value from his damage, but 16,000 total. That is a tremendous amount of damage. Volkmar doing what surprises no one here. He's good at dishing it out. Definitely a valuable asset for the Empire. Pretty good work done here by the Bright Wizard, I think, considering the cost of the Bright Wizard, since he was not mounted. Should have been really inexpensive unit. Probably same thing here with the Warrior Priest. These are not a very expensive unit when they're not mounted, so I think that's probably a fairly good value, all things considered. And the Sunmaker didn't pay for itself, but even in that short amount of time managed to pick up 878 in damage value, so still pretty impressive stuff. Let's look over here at Luthor Harkon, 1114, so nowhere near Volkmar, about half of what Volkmar was able to accomplish. The Rotting Leviathan, despite dealing out quite a lot of raw damage, you can see the value of that damage, just wasn't able to swing too much for the battle. Look at this, only 317 for this depth guard and 107 for the others. This is a big limitation here that the Goblins inflicted on the Vampire Coast with these expensive infantry units being heavily limited. If you look at the damage value, though, here for the Vampire Coast, it really came from the deck droppers, and that's not a big surprise. They put a lot of hits on the Ragnarok Queen, so they did get a nice value over the course of that battle, and that was a good use of them. Let's take a look at Uncensored Angel and Seaspring here. Skarsnik getting in 1125, but he's basically full health. So, I mean, that's honestly great considering that he took almost no damage and dealt that much. As far as the rest of his army, it's just going to be spread out in little chunks across. If we look at the Ragnarok Queen, not that much. The deck droppers effectively dealt with the Ragnarok Queen. Probably some of the best value that the Greenskins got was out of these Night Goblin Archers. Look at this, 1160 on one of the Night Goblin Archers. That is insane. 752 there, 778. So really good for units of that cost. And if we take a look at Repanse, only 695. A lot of our cavalry was busy chasing. See, Henry Le Massif did okay here. He managed to survive to the end, but then started getting picked up and beat down. Let's see, look at the value on some of the rest of these units. Not enough out of the Knights of the Lionhearted or the Companion of Kinnell, closer to what they should be for their cost, but still not enough. I want to say this is like a 1600 or 1700 cost unit, so still not quite enough to pay for themselves. And then same thing with the Royal Hippogriff Knights. A lot of damage dealt, but and you know, and there's some of the higher damage values for this army, but with what these units cost, you got to work pretty hard to try and get the damage value for the gold cost that you put into them. So fun battle here. Again, appreciate all 4 players. Appreciate it being submitted. I definitely had a good time with this one. I'm trying to remember the name. This was submitted by Moss Shadow on my Discord, so appreciate him sending this one in. Hope you all enjoyed it. Haven't had a 2v2 in a while. I do have some more team battles that were sent in by Dustin, and it's a 3v3 that's pretty good. I think I'm going to show you all that one too soon, because I really enjoyed that one. Hadn't had any team battles in a while. We still have some more good 1v1s that I want to share with you all too. If you want to submit a replay, please do so. Go onto my Discord, and you can post the replay in the Warhammer 2 replays thread. If you're not sure where to find it or what to do, just ping one of the mods. They'll be good at helping, or anybody else who's present will help you out. And I've always got a link for the Discord in the description. It's free to join. Hope to see you all there. Anyway, HeirofCarthage signing out for now. I will see you all soon.